fix their phones.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m., Monday, June 19th, 2023. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First is to review the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is a public hearing on violations of Iowa Code Section 453A.2. Selling, giving, or otherwise supplying any tobacco, tobacco products, alternative nicotine products, vapor products, or cigarettes to any person under 21 years of age. So we are in a public hearing on this. Good morning. If you'd like to address this.
I will take care of this. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Williamson. I'm one of the assistant county attorneys. This is a situation where the Sheriff's Department did essentially a sting or a check on various tobacco retailers outside the city limits of the city of Muscatine and found some violations. There were only 2 violations that were outside of any city limits. So I believe there was one in West Liberty. There may have been one in Nichols as well. But there were 2 that were outside of city limits and just in the county itself. Those were the Stewart Road Fast Break and the Casey's on Highway 22 near Nichols. We did check. Originally, we thought that was inside the city of Nichols, but it's actually just outside the city limits. So when that happens, there's a criminal penalty that's given to the employee that did this actual selling. Those were already taken care of. It's a scheduled fine, and they both pleaded guilty in court. Then on top of that, there's a civil penalty that the tobacco permit issuing entity can collect as well from the employer, meaning the owner of the store. In this case, because it was a first offense for each one, it's a $300 penalty. Both stores and their owners have agreed that the violations happened. They've already submitted settlements to deal with those civil penalties, as well as checks in the amount of $300 made out to the county. So all I'm asking today is that the board approve those settlements and accept the payments from those companies. And then there are a couple of orders, one for each company, that Mr. Sauer will need to sign. And I just need to get copies of those for my records, but the originals should stay with the county. Any questions?
Dan, does this require a public hearing just because it's a settlement agreement situation?
It starts off as a public hearing because if either of the companies wanted to dispute that it happened, then we would essentially have a trial where you guys would be the jurors. Right. In the time that I've been doing this, and this is the first time that I've done this with the county, you have done it with the city of Muscatine through our contract with them since I started back in 2014. Nobody has ever taken this to trial. There was one in the city that just didn't show up, and I just presented, various documents to the city council. But everyone else has always gotten the check to us and the settlement agreement just like they did in this time. So once that happens, we just need to have the board accept it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't believe so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to close the public hearing. Actually, I suppose I should wait to see if there's anything else.
Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing on this issue? Seeing no one come forward.
I will now move to close the public hearing.
I will second.
Motion by Nathan, second by Jeff. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Danny?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Next is possible action approving acknowledgement settlement agreements with Rife Oil Company and Casey's General Store.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Kurt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is discussion and possible action to approve ordinance 06192301, rezoning certain real property in should that be real estate property?
No real property.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Rezoning certain real property in Wapsie Township from A1 agricultural district to R1 residential district on the third and final reading.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. Again, this is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Danny?
Aye.
And Kurt?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is items with County Engineer Brian Horowski. Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
First is discussion and possible action to approve various utility permits.
Yes, so we have 2 utility permits today. Both are from Muscatine Power and Water of Muscatine, Iowa. The first is MP&W is requesting to bore fiber optic cable under 180th Street to service house 2820. It's pretty straightforward. The second is MP&W is requesting to install fiber optic cable along Bayfield Road from house 2401 to 2389. Both fairly straightforward.
I will move the approval.
I got a
Second.
motion by Jeff, second by Danny. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Got anything else for us, Brian?
Nope, that's all I had for today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is discussion and possible action authorizing the chair to sign a letter of support for the Robert Young Center application to become a community mental health center in the state of Iowa with Community Services Director Felicia Topper. Felicia, good morning.
Good morning. One of my goals when I first took this job was to make every effort to get Muscatine Community Mental Health Center. We're big enough. We have the population for it. And so that's what I've been working on for almost 4 years. And now we're at the point where we can issue a letter of support to Robert Young Center to apply to the state of Iowa to become a community mental health center with their, my understanding, their primary base being here in Muscatine County. Now, Robert Young has provided mental health services for Muscatine County for quite some time, but there are some pretty significant limits to that. And with the qualification as a community mental health center, they can draw down federal dollars to increase the amount of services that we have here. And that's the most important piece of this. And we've been waiting, as Jeff knows, we've been waiting for the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services, their Mental Health and Disabilities Commission, to come up with some kind of rules. And so now they've come up with those rules, so Robert Young is ready to make that application.
Nice. That's great.
Do they have a facility that they got in mind, or is this something they'd have to build?
Well, they're currently at 1616 Cedar, and I have not heard anything about them building anything else. I think it's gonna depend on how many services they can put in and how long it's going to take them to do that, because 1616 Cedar is a pretty large facility when it comes right down to it, so.
So they have the room with,
Yep, they do.
And it's just outpatient, right?
It'll be just outpatient treatment. But it will allow them to be able to possibly get us some more prescribers, because right now, getting into a prescriber is September, October. And so that's a real challenge for our folks. So if somebody feels like they're really depressed and that sort of thing, they're gonna have to wait a while to see a prescriber. The region is putting into place bridge appointments, which will start July 1. And if they have a case manager, then they'll be able to go to those bridge appointments. And Muscatine should have about 4 hours a week of those bridge appointments, which would allow a prescriber to prescribe medications in the immediate need, as long as they have an appointment with a prescriber, a permanent prescriber later.
does this maybe open it up for the facility where we might have to house people eventually?
Tell me what you mean by house people.
Well, the people that might need to be, whether it's, people we bring into the jail or to your facility or the MCSA that need the facility to stay at to get treatment longer term than just outpatient.
Well, it's my understanding that Unity Point is not willing at this time to do any kind of inpatient beds for psychiatric needs. I mean, God only knows the hospital's got enough space for it, but the real trick is the staffing to be able to get those in there and the licensing that goes along with that. What the region is putting into place is a peer respite house. And that peer respite house is for those folks that are having a mental health crisis that doesn't require hospitalization. It just requires them to be in a safe space, and they can be there between 5 and 7 days. And it's for mental health crisis. They will take folks that may have used some substances. We don't have that currently in our region. And so I'm very grateful for MCSA taking on that challenge. If the person is homeless, then they'll just simply transition over to the shelter at MCSA, and the process will work like it does for all homeless folks.
Okay.
Felicia's a little bit off topic, and I just want to say, great work. This has been on our radar for so long, and I'm super excited. But since you brought up MCSA, I know that I don't want to call it a group home, but we're talking about where they have embedded treatment, the
15-bed facility.
yeah, the residential facility. How's that coming along?
You know, I know that they are, because they're between directors, I
Yeah.
think things have slowed down a bit, but I think they're still on track to put in that 3-story unit.
Wonderful.
And I think that's gonna be really, really important for us as a community, because it'll be a place where we can put those folks that are extremely hard to house and have services in the building with them so that we can keep them as stable as possible.
There's a lot of terms, what do they call that, permanent supported housing?
Yes, it
I
is.
believe, and I think, is Scott County not investing heavily in Scott County in
Oh, they've spent
like
millions of dollars.
3.2 million, I think, with, is it called Humility Homes?
Yes,
That does something similar to this, where they take private sector landlords and then they embed caseworkers, for the lack of a better words, and there's some federal funding there to get folks kind of wrap services around them. And I think there also are some stipulations to those as well. It's not like a free-for-all. They have to live by some rules, so
yes, they do.
hopefully they'll have success.
Absolutely. And they were funded, a good chunk of ARPA money went into that process. So, yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion
Okay,
to approve.
No, gladly seconded.
I got a motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you.
Do we know what the time frame on their approval process is?
Gosh, Nathan, I wish I knew that.
Probably has to go to the state board, which meets once a month, like,
And they just approved 2 new CMHCs recently, I think in the last 30 days. So I'm hoping that it'll go through the process. I know they have to put in the application, and then they have to talk to other community members about how they feel about it. But given that Robert Young has been providing the service for so long, they're well established here.
Mhm.
So I think that'll go relatively quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
and there's a public comment period, and then other providers get to give feedback and, yay or nay, and I don't remember when I sat on the state board, that was the challenge in that state board. That process was delayed, because it happened when Optimate was trying to get it in a region down south. And I think it was delayed about 18 months for like rule writing. And now that the rules were adopted not too long ago, now people know what they need to do. And what, I think the big hitch on it always is, I think in the previous is, I think it has to be, for-profit enterprises have challenges going through the process because of some of their rulemaking, but.
Yes, they do.
Okay, very
All
good.
right.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is discussion and possible action to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Iowa Department of Management, Iowa Office of Chief Information Officer for Enhanced Security Services with Information Services Director, Bill Rowley. Bill, good morning.
Morning. This is just a replacement to an existing MOU that we had with the OCIO for a different service. They are ending that service later this summer and will be moving to a new service. This just basically allows them to have monitoring capabilities to look over our shoulder to make sure that there are no suspicious activities or anything going on that may not be caught by our normal endpoint protection. So this is just something, it's free of cost, it's provided through grant money. I believe this was through ARPA funds, but we'll have that for about 2 years, 18 months maybe. I think it expires in February of 25. And we're not replacing anything on our end, so if they were to end that service earlier, we would still be covered by our own endpoint protection. They are just in a monitor-only mode for us.
Okay.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Kurt. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Next is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the June 12, 2023 regular meeting.
So moved.
I got a motion by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Danny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Correspondence. Jeff, you have anything?
I think we all got a inquiry from a ragbri vendor, and I think Danny reached out and hooked her up with whoever she needed to speak to, somebody wanting to know about selling goods in the county. And anybody that wants to know, I think they would reach out to our planning and zoning office and they would let you know. The other thing is I attended the open house for the wind, I don't know, Liberty Wind Park, or what are they calling it? Pine, I don't remember what it was. They have the wind farm up in the West Liberty area. An interesting presentation, so that's all I had.
All right, Nathan.
I had the ragbri vendor question, and I think that was it.
Okay. I had the same ragbri question. I attended on Wednesday the 14th the new health clinic groundbreaking ceremony. I attended, as well as on Wednesday the 14th I as well attended the Liberty Wind Project informational. That's all I had. Danny?
I just, the correspondence, I just had the rag by, that was it this week.
Okay. Kurt?
I also had the Ragbri, plus went on the 14th to the Liberty Wind Farm meeting, and then had about 3 to 4 inquiries after that from people in the West Liberty area about where we're at on it and where it's going, and so.
Yeah, I think one of the comments that we'd heard that, they were working with local elected officials, and we've been only I think mostly, I've got more information from Kurt than anyone, but they did reach out to Eric kind of in a generic fashion, so we're aware of it, but I don't know that we've had there've been no in-depth discussions with the county about their proposal or what they're doing. I talked a little bit with the guy that's trying to get, and I understand that a little bit, they have to see what the interest of landowners is before they're gonna do much of anything, and that's the process they're in now. They kinda got a scope developed and kinda understand where the issues are. They're trying to get feedback and then talk to landowners, so I'm sure if it moves forward, we will be hearing more.
Okay. Committee reports. Do you have anything, Jeff?
Nothing to report?
Nathan?
Nothing for me either.
I have no committees.
I had no committees. I did, on the 14th, I attended that hospital groundbreaking event. That's it.
Okay, Kurt?
On the 15th, I had West Liberty, the Muscatine County Fair Board meeting at West Liberty.
Very good. Next is items with the administration office. First is discussion and possible action authorizing the chair to execute a FY 23-24 Iowa Burn Justice Assistant Grant, JAG program contract in the amount of $43,066.67.
This is a grant that we've had for a long time. It helps fund our drug task force officer.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll move the approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Danny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next is action to set a public hearing for Monday, July 3rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. on proposed amendments to the Muscatine County ordinance regulating the operation of all-terrain vehicles and off-road utility vehicles in Muscatine County to remove restricted secondary roadways.
This is setting the public
Yeah,
hearing.
this
This
is
is
just
set a public
I'll
hearing.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Kurt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anything other, Nancy?
I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Next is receive information from county employees. Do I have any county employee that wish to address the board at this time on an issue? Jim?
Just wanted to give you an update on the Pioneer Cemetery situation. We've not been able to get two of those located. I was advised in one of them after my third visit to the home that a call had been made to the county, but I reached out and nobody has acknowledged that call. Discussed that with Nancy last Friday, and my intention is to prepare a draft ordinance this week to bring to the board next week to address the Pioneer Cemetery situation more fully. So I just wanted to give you an update as to where things are at in that realm.
Okay, thank you. Any other county employees wish to address the board at this time? Seeing no one come forward. Receive comments from the public. Do I have anyone from the county that would like to address the board on an issue at this time? Seeing no one come forward, we will, next is closed session pursuant to chapter 21.5.1 Code of Iowa to discuss the purchase or sales of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of the governmental body which would have to pay for the property or reduce the price of the governmental body would receive for the property. So,
Should we take a 5-minute
Yeah.
recess,
We'll-
and then we'll come back and.
yeah, we'll reconvene at 9:28. Thank you.